This time on Superstars, a slippery crew of con artists who know how to get themselves out of a sticky situation. If Leonardo DiCaprio had listened to an acting agent when he was 12, he could have ended up with the name Lenny Williams. Thankfully, he stuck to the rather more exotic name handed down by his Italian-German father. After growing up in poor areas around Hollywood, Leonardo made his breakthrough with This Boy's Life in 1993. At the age of 19, he scored an Oscar nomination and heaps of critical praise for his portrayal of the mentally handicapped Arnie in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He then played dual roles in The Man in the Iron Mask. Stepping up to the role of romantic hero, he played Romeo in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, before setting off a tidal wave that saw Leo mania flood the globe, with his turn as the self-sacrificing Jack Dawson in Titanic, which spawned fantasy crushes and copycat haircuts worldwide. But after all the hype subsided, he was left to get on with reminding the world that he was actually a great actor in 2002's Catch Me If You Can, directed by Steven Spielberg.
This is by far the best date I have ever been on.
He's a kid, that's why he doesn't have a...
It was one of those characters that really jumped off the page, and for any young actor, it was a dream role to play. And I got to do it with, you know, one of the best in Steven Spielberg, and we shot the film extremely fast, which was very reflective of the real man's life, and he was constantly throwing me into a lion's pit and having me squirm my way out as an actor, so it was great experience.
The same year, he got to work with another directing heavyweight in Gangs of New York.
Pistols. Good boy. I give you my word. This will all be finished tomorrow. No, it won't.
Any actor would want to be in a Martin Scorsese movie. I don't know anyone that wouldn't. He's usually at the top of their list because they're so, you know, there's pieces of film that come and go, but his movies have this relevance over time. They, you know, they saturate you, and they have a long shelf life. People watch these films over and over and over again, and that's a testament to, you know, a good piece of art. That's all.
The two worked together again in 2004's The Aviator. Leo's interpretation of real-life crack genius Howard Hughes won him a Golden Globe.
He was a champion aviator, you know, was at the forefront of the golden age of Hollywood. He had, you know, built his own airline, revolutionized commercial travel in our country, was heavily involved in politics. He was America's first billionaire and slept with every possible woman imaginable. And he achieved everything. But all that combined with the fact that he was a germaphobe and had obsessive-compulsive disorder, and the fact that all that genius then reverted to microscopic germs is one of the most fascinating stories about the human condition I've ever read.
When they paired a third time for the film that finally won Scorsese a Best Picture Oscar, the industry proclaimed Leo the director's new De Niro, and his departed co-stars were singing his praises.
You know, Leo this is one of my favorite roles he's ever played. He's so great in this. He's so compelling, and Matt as well. And it's exciting. It's electric. It's electrifying working with them.
But amazingly, it was another film of the same year that scored him his second Oscar nomination for Best Actor. He might not quite have nailed his South African accent in Blood Diamond, but audiences and critics were sold on the authenticity of his portrayal of a smuggling mercenary, Danny Archer.
The only reason you're still alive is because you haven't told anyone where it is. Am I right? Am I?
Leo is also famous as a passionate environmentalist.
I drove here today in my hybrid vehicle that gets 50 miles to the gallon and has less than half of the pollution of a normal car. The technology to make safer, cleaner cars and SUVs is here today. Pollution-free renewable energy sources from wind and solar power are also available today. The environmental age is here. Let's reduce our dependency on oil, foreign and domestic. Let's develop a global politics that accelerates the transition to clean fuels and sustainable energy from renewable sources.
And with half a dozen new films in the pipeline, including Revolutionary Road with his Titanic co-star Kate Winslet, Leo's own sustainable energy looks in good shape. Born in Lexington, Kentucky in 1961, actor, director, producer, screenwriter George Clooney hit the genetic jackpot. He got his looks from his pageant queen mother, his smarts and social conscience from his journalist father, and his star quality from his pop star aunt, Rosemary Clooney. 33 years later, the sexy grey fox got his small screen breakthrough in the hospital drama ER.
The right man.
After working with director-producer Steven Soderbergh in Out of Sight, the pair teamed up for 2002 Solaris and have been collaborating together ever since. One of their most recent projects was post-World War II drama The Good German.
Lena?
I'm off the clock too.
Well, you know, it's always good working with Steven, because first of all, he's a good friend. Second of all, I think he's one of the best filmmakers of his generation.
And his co-star Kate Blanchett had this to say about George.
He's incredibly collaborative and enormously generous to other actors. He's really invested in other actors' careers, and you can see that by the way he casts the films that he directs. You know, he's interested in not what an actor's perceived to do publicly, but what he knows that they can actually do privately, and eliciting really great performances, and he does that off camera.
After big successes with Three Kings, Ocean's 11 and the musical Oh Brother Where Art Thou, for which he won a Golden Globe, George ventured behind the camera for the first time in 2002 to make Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, based on the memoirs of game show host Chuck Barris.
It's the best script I'd read in years. I was attached to it as an actor for about 5 years, and it just kept falling apart. And then the last time it fell apart, I just sort of jumped on and said, I think I can get it made. And it sort of required me to sort of grab it by the bootstraps.
Having hit on the smart tactic of starring in big-budget crowd pleasers to fund more serious political independent films, he went on to star in Intolerable Cruelty, Spy Kids 3D, and the second installment of the Oceans franchise, which reunited him with old buddy Brad Pitt.
You're doing recon work on our anniversary?
Not a bad gig. It was not a bad gig.
No, it's a good place to be. If you're gonna do it over there.
Do it Amsterdam, Paris, Rome, Lake Como. Sicily.
Sicily, that's right. I forgot about Sicily. Yeah, we were all over the place.
It's not a bad gig.
It's a good gig.
After horsing around on set with Brad, he was ready to spark political debate with his next directorial outing, Good Night and Good Luck, about 1950s TV journalist Edward R. Murrow's war of words with Senator McCarthy.
Guilty of being a security risk without his
and
constitutional
you, who
rights.
also have not seen the evidence, are claiming he's not a security risk. Wouldn't you guess that the people who have seen the content...
It's an interesting time to be involved in a debate about civil liberties and whether or not fear should be used to take away certain civil liberties. And so for me as an artist, if people want to talk about it, it's great. You know, I didn't make the film as a protest against any administration. I made the film as a historical reference because I grew up as a fan of Murrow and of the speeches and of the time.
He shook things up again with Syriana, which he starred in and produced. Adapted from the memoir of Robert Baer, it focuses on the power of the oil industry. George's role as a veteran CIA field operative won him an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Later in the year, he was honored with the Walter Cronkite Freedom Award.
If you've read his words, watched his movies, taken note of his compassionate actions, then you already know why Mr. Clooney is receiving our award. Mr. Clooney values inclusivity and says so regularly. He displays an unusual amount of sensitivity to the tensions that characterize interreligious relations, and he sees the potential power of cooperation.
Robert Redford's list of acting, directorial and producing achievements may read like a Hollywood Roll of Honor, but the founder of one of the world's most successful independent film festivals has no interest in personal accolades.
I'm not that comfortable celebrating myself, and there's so many red carpets, so many places that I'm more interested in what the purpose is, which is showing the films. And I'm more interested in the filmmakers who really benefit from the experience by having their work seen.
Despite being named by Empire magazine as one of the sexiest stars in film history, he wastes no time on thoughts about his image.
Don't even... How you're seen by others is their business. It's maybe not yours. Yours is just the trying, that's it. You just do what you want to do and do what you have to do. And you try to do the best you can. And how it's labeled or how it's identified is up to other people. It's really not up to me. So sex symbol or goofball or whatever it is really up to others.
Starting out as an actor on late 50s television, despite his reluctance to be typecast in blonde male starlet roles, his stunning California beach looks helped land him a string of romantic lead roles on the big screen, such as Barefoot in the Park opposite Jane Fonda. He became a matinee idol in 1969 after starring with Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Starting all over again.
He tried his hand at directing in 1980. Ordinary People, starring Mary Tyler Moore, Donald Sutherland and Timothy Hutton, depicted the slow disintegration of a middle-class family and won Robert a Best Directing Oscar on his first outing. Since then, his acclaimed directing and/or producing credits have included Quiz Show, The Horse Whisperer and A River Runs Through It, as well as 2005's Motorcycle Diaries, about young Che Guevara's 9-month odyssey through South America. But what he's best known for these days is his involvement with Sundance Film Festival, which was founded at his ski resort in Utah with the proceeds of his acting career. The annual festival is dedicated to screening the work of a diverse range of emerging filmmakers. Over the course of more than 2 decades, the festival has provided a platform for a large number of films that have gone on to enjoy great commercial success.
We had no idea when I started this in 1980, it was really 86. I didn't know whether it was going to make it or not. And because it was not going to be about commerciality, it was going to be about a kind of diversity and new product and new voices, a place for discovery, but I didn't know whether that was going to work or not. But at any rate, once the thing got going and it looked like we were going to survive and we had a platform to work from, we then had the chance to expand the so-called mission, if you want. And I saw documentaries as something that should be promoted, and that we should use the festival to promote documentaries heavily because the mainstream was not really allowing them any space.
He's adamant the success of Sundance has not changed the festival's primary mission.
The idea of diversity being an attraction rather than commerciality, and who wants to be in the position of deciding what's commercial or not? We'll leave that to the mainstream. But what happened was that as things changed, the success came and brought other elements, which, as I said, is fine. But we would like to try to remind people about what the core, why we're here and what we're about.
As well as all this, Robert continues to make room for his acting career.
I don't want you here.
I don't want to be here either.
In 2005, at the age of 68, he starred as a stuck-in-the-mud rancher who's forced to take in his estranged daughter-in-law in an unfinished life.
Where does he live now?
He's dead. Did your mother tell you that?
Yeah, but she said you're dead too.
With much more to do in his own life, Robert has already bequeathed an indelible legacy to future filmmakers.
He was an icon for me as a child, and he's an icon for me as a documentary filmmaker for what he's done for my generation of filmmakers. So to be on that stage with him was just awesome, and he's just, you know, he's done such incredible work.
Penelope Cruz is the first Spanish actress to be nominated for an Academy Award for a leading actress. The nod came for her role as a cleaner who murders her husband and receives a visit from her dead mother in Pedro Almodóvar's Volve in 2006.
He was one of the reasons why I decided to become an actress when I was 13, so that one day I could try to work with him. So now this is my third movie with him, and a big dream that came true.
She started off in entertainment as a dancer, then became a television presenter, before starring in her first film, Jamon Jamon, in 1991, alongside Javier Bardem. In one of the film's final scenes, her two rival suitors duke it out with two hefty cuts of meat. The film which brought her to international attention was Almodovar's Academy Award-winning All About My Mother. 2 years later, she was out and about with Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, Tom Cruise, with whom she starred in Vanilla Sky, reprising the role she played in the original Spanish version, Abre los ojos.
That's how you see me?
Maybe I didn't have enough money. Let's see yours.
Having landed sweetly in the honeypot, she proved she was no naive debutante by keeping all her options open.
I've been working last year also in France, and now I'm making a movie in Italy, in Italian. And I've just finished 2 movies here in America, so for me that's the ideal situation to keep combining all of those territories. That's what I always wanted to do.
That smart move has kept her busy ever since. After her breakup with Tom in 2004, she stepped up to the task of learning a new language for the Italian drama Don't Move, in which her character falls in love with a man that rapes her, a confronting role that won her several awards in Europe.
Tu stavi sotto al portone, ma non mi sono avvicinata perché c'era tua moglie. Eravate scesi dalla macchina. Tu avevi le buste della spesa in mano.
It was very intense emotionally, but you know, that's the kind of material that I look for, and it almost changed something in me as a person. It's much more than a movie for me. I love this movie.
Next, she was tearing up the desert in the adventure epic Sahara opposite Matthew McConaughey, who also became her off-screen love interest.
You found a coin.
I found the coin. For explorer Dirk Pitt and his team, this is the place.
I was a very big fan of this kind of movie before. Movies that remind me of this, a little bit like the energy of the movies of Indiana Jones, and where you can actually identify with the hero and feel like you could be in that situation, because it's not so much about CGI or post-production, is you can feel what they're doing, actually they did it, or the stunt double did it, but it's a person going through those things. So for me that has more magic. That's something that is done only in post-production, and this was what wanted to be achieved with this movie, and I'm very happy with the result and the experience of going through that. I really felt like I was Indiana Jones every day in this set. I was convinced that my muscles were huge, and apparently I was the only one thinking that about myself.
Her relationship with Matthew barely outlasted the highly hyped release of the movie, by which time Penelope had flown to Mexico to star alongside her best friend Salma Hayek in the action comedy Bandidas.
She's very upset.
After that, she was earning more frequent flyer points on a trip to Spain to film Volve. As a sideline to her globe-trotting film career, Penelope has also jumped on the celebrity scent bandwagon, collaborating with Ralph Lauren on the concoction of 2 perfumes.
I've been working 4 years almost with him, and we released the other perfume Glamours last year, and this one is more for the day, more casual, more for every day. Like, I like this concept of this anti-glamour, glamour with jeans, you know. It's more my kind of thing.
So exactly what does glamour mean to Penelope Cruz?
I think it's something, a concept that is difficult to put into words. That is just whatever makes you feel good with yourself. When you feel good, and you feel more confident, more happy with yourself. Just to allow yourself to be yourself and not be scared of that, you know.
I guess it was 1988 when I came here first on spring break from the University of Texas, and we walked down these streets, my friends and I used 2 rolls of film just on these stars alone, and I was so excited just to be here, and you know, I had my fingers crossed really tightly that that one day I would be invited to participate in some small way in this medium that I love so much.
After graduating from university, Renee Zellweger returned to Hollywood to turn that dream into a reality and got started with supporting roles in films like Reality Bites and The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She first turned heads as Tom Cruise's love interest in 1996's Jerry Maguire.
Him kiss a man just like a dad.
Don't cry at the beginning of a date. Yeah, just cry at the end like I do.
We'll find nice.
But it was as the chubby English singleton Bridget Jones that Renee caught the attention of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and she was rewarded with her first Oscar nomination in 2001.
Mr. Hart's pistol was
She was nominated the following year for her role in the musical Chicago.
And then he came toward me with this funny look in his eyes. He was angry and wild.
No mean feat for a singing and dancing novice.
Crazy! It's crazy. But you know what? I'm not complaining.
The year after that, she converted the nod into a Best Supporting Actress award for her portrayal of the less than traditionally feminine Ruby in Cold Mountain.
All day I'm a worker number 2. Ain't no man better than me. There ain't no man around.
People who are making films are recognizing that there's value in portraying female characters in that way, that audiences are interested, that there's a market for those sorts of films. They're beautiful stories, and so why not, I suppose. I agree with you, because oftentimes you hear people talking about that there's a shortage of really great roles for women, and I think that that is changing, definitely changing.
It's been
and Renee continued to play an active hand in changing them, bravely piling on the pounds to reprise her role as Bridget Jones in 2004's Edge of Reason.
What on earth are you doing?
Over the Edge.
And it doesn't happen without work and attention, and you know, you have to be careful, and it's a pretty dramatic change, so it definitely has its effects. Hopefully the long-term ones will be minimal.
As well as an obsession with her yo-yoing weight, the media have also found fascination with Renee's celebrity love affairs. Romantically linked with Jim Carrey and Jack White, she tied the knot with country star Kenny Chesney. The marriage lasted all of 4 months. Since then, she's been cozying up with Luke Perry and old flame George Clooney. But despite being one of the highest profile stars in Hollywood, she's far from comfortable with all the media attention.
I have a hard time with, you know, red carpets and people shouting your name, and yeah, I'm not so good at it. And I can't imagine that my personal life holds any value to people who don't know me. I just can't see that it would.
Beatrix Potter.
Renee's blend of wide-eyed innocence, artistry and integrity stood her in excellent stead for her next leading role as legendary writer and illustrator Beatrix Potter.
She was so accomplished in so many different respects. I mean, she was so skilled as an artist, and you can only really appreciate it when you try to emulate it, because it becomes very clear the technical skill and the precision of her skill, and then to come to learn all of her, you know, understandings of science, of the sciences, and her accomplishments as a naturalist. It's just unbelievable.
Miss Potter director Chris Noonan was astounded by her attention to detail in researching the role, and Ewan McGregor, who'd co-starred with Renee in 2003's Down with Love, jumped at the chance to work with her again.
I think any film working with Renee would be perfect. She's just fantastic. She's one of our finest actresses, and she's just divine. So the idea of working with her at all is really appealing.
But for Renee, knocking her co-star's socks off is all in a day's work.
What you think is necessary in order to authenticate an experience creatively. I mean, I've been very lucky. I've been able to play some really, well, to me, really interesting characters, and just doing what the job requires is all I'm sure anyone would.